Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Yes, studio audience, thank you. Welcome back. Welcome to the show. Y'all, I'm so excited to bring this series back. Y'all probably thought it wasn't coming back, but we just gonna pop it in here and there. It's not gonna be every month anymore because I want to be very intentional about being able to get the people that I want on. So super excited. I have a guest today, and we're gonna do well. Obviously, I have a guest because that's the point of this episode. Yes, we're gonna do an official introduction in a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen and studio audience and everybody out there in the YouTube podcast world, please welcome Shawntal Mallory Esquire. Yes, get into that Esquire, y'all.
Run me my letters.
Right. You know what I'm saying? She deserves all that. So, man, y'all, I've known this woman literally for a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
we were both children, I
yes,
think.
yes. And what's so important about having her on for this particular series is that when I created the brand Melanintoxicate, there were people in my life that now she and I have not been super close, but I still have got to watch her life and just see different things and just things that I know about her. And so when I think about the brand and what it stands for, she's one of the people that I had in mind as, yes, she embodies, you know what I'm saying, what this brand stands for. And so, but how many of y'all know, like, I'm saying it like people are here. Right. Y'all out here, y'all listening. But those of y'all, sometimes, like, I had it in mind to have her on months before I even asked her, right? Because I knew I wanted to have her on for the series. But sometimes you have an idea and then God says, wait, you know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna reach out. And he'd be like, not yet. And I'm like, bruh, like, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Timing was perfect, right?
Yes. And then even when we originally talked about it, our schedules, both of us, the summer was, I can't believe it's already August.
I know.
Like, where did this, and none of my kids are in school. So it's kind of weird because I don't have that K through 12th anymore. But the summer flew by, and then I didn't forget about it, but it was on the back burner of my mind. And then I was like, okay, it's fall. I know she will be getting super busy again. So let's see if we could squeeze it in, y'all. And here we are. So welcome to the show, guys. Like I said, if you're not, follow me on social media. Link to all that is in the episode notes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like I say every week, it's free $99 to support me in that way. Trying to grow my channel. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this episode. And we're going to start it off with what is one thing that you can think of that you enjoy that could potentially get your black card revoked. And if y'all don't know what a black card is, this question don't even worry about it. Go look it up.
Get the Googles.
You know what I'm saying? You're not about to explain that today.
Or Urban Dictionary.
Right. That part.
Might be more accurate. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this too. Like, there's so many things because I have such a weird upbringing background compared to a lot of people. So I've been in a lot of predominantly white spaces. So there are some things that the Caucasians enjoy that I really, really like. I would probably get my black card revoked, like opera and ice skating and just different stuff where people are like, black people don't do that, swimming. with my hair actually out.
Oh, okay. Come on, curls.
Like we'll deal with the detangling later. But I would say the thing that would really get my black card revoked is I enjoy passing by the crock pot of greens and not partaking. I don't know what it is about greens, but they are not the business for me. I think it's a texture thing more than it is a taste. But and a million people, I mean, you just ain't had my greens. Nope, don't want anybody's greens. That wet, soggy lettuce, bacon in that thing all day. Nope. So passing on the greens would be the thing that most people are usually like, what? Like side-eyeing me. You don't eat greens? I do not, will not, cannot.
Of all the things, if y'all would have saw my face, my mouth actually dropped.
I know most people love greens, but it's not my thing. It's not my jam. Other soul food, bring it on, but not.
That takes me back. That makes me think about, I remember it because you and your brother like commented when I did the Thanksgiving While Black Facebook post that I shared or whatever that like I shared somebody else's post. But I just started thinking about the food. I don't know why I thought about that the other day, but the different foods that people will have at Thanksgiving gatherings, and greens is like a staple.
And I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year for my family. We have people flying in and driving in from all over. Because my mom, I'm sure my mom has shared this with you, but she's one of 16 kids, so we have a really
absolutely.
Family. Yes, I have a ton of aunts and uncles and cousins that are coming and greens are definitely on the list. I just won't be eating them. So if it gets me any points back, I don't eat green bean casserole either.
Okay, because I actually was about to ask you that. Okay,
I don't with that either. But
okay.
Me, it's like if I don't eat something, it's usually a texture thing. Like it's slimy, or I don't like the way it, something like that. So but greens are a no for me, and I don't care what you put in them. People, I put smoked turkey leg. That's great. Give me the turkey leg, but it's just not my thing.
Okay. I had to think about something that because I, of course, answer this question too, and I had to think of. I'm trying to, because there are many things me as well where I won't say I often as an adult am in predominantly white spaces, and I think it's important to get exposed to different cultures and all that. And so there are things that I enjoy that, like you said, people say black people don't do that. So I'm gonna actually have to start making a list when I answer this so that I don't repeat information. But I don't think I've ever said this, and this isn't something that necessarily like I enjoy, but this is something that I kind of haven't done, but now I kind of refuse to do it. And so I have not seen The Color Purple, and I'm so serious. And
we got to do an intervention, y'all. We got to do a movie night intervention.
And I don't even know why I've never seen it, but now that I'm older and what I know of the movie and like the trauma that's in it and all that, now I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to see a black trauma movie. Like,
and it's very traumatic. Like, I had that conversation with somebody a couple years ago about being a kid and watching The Color Purple and thinking that's crazy, and then like being an adult now and having my own kids, and or just being a woman now and having agency over like my body and who I want to be with, and thinking that my dad got to make that decision for me when I was like 14, and he was just like, you can't have this daughter, but you can have this daughter, and some of that real icky, like R. Kelly before R. Kelly type of stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
It was traumatic. Like Alice Walker created a masterpiece. The movie is amazing, but when you look at it, it does have a lot of relational trauma and a lot of familial trauma, and then just things that are specific to Black women that I didn't have. My young mind couldn't process that. And now that I'm a grown woman, I'm like, that movie is really a lot to unpack.
hmm
A lot.
and yeah, and so that's why I'm kind of like I don't think I want to watch that. You know what I'm saying? But it's also
Yeah.
funny because I like to do things on purpose to be a little bit petty and funny and whatever. So people's reaction also makes me like, no, this is my claim to fame. Like I'm not ever gonna watch it.
That's a hill you're gonna die on.
Yes, on purpose. Now, my braider, sometimes I end up watching. I can't imagine her watching this, but like P Valley, I was never gonna watch that, and she did have me watching it while she was doing my hair, season
Mhm.
1, and so they had said like you got to get to episode 4 or 5 to really like it, and I'm like, why I gotta watch 4 episodes of what I don't like? But I had to sit there while she was doing my hair, and then kind of got. I haven't watched season 2 yet, but yeah.
I too really tried to want to like the P Valley. Like the P Valley. Like
Mhm.
it's just I don't know. I want us to have more diversity in our stories.
Mm.
Um, I feel like it's like a scripted version of like just a whole melting pot of ratchetness, like reality TV. And
Yeah.
I will say the only thing I do like about the show is Uncle Clifford and his rules. How he
Mhm.
just randomly numbers them. I don't know if there's an actual manual or what, but I feel like he just pulls the numbers out the air, like 52.8. But I've watched a couple episodes because people keep trying to peer pressure me into it. Like I'm gonna lose some points for that too, and I just can't get into it. But I also gave up reality TV several years ago when I started
Mhm.
to see where that was going, and I started feeling like I was losing brain cells watching it.
Mm.
It became a little bit more to me than mindless TV. It was, that used to be my thing. Like, well, I just want to, decompress and enjoy some mindless TV. And then
Mhm.
it got to be, well, is this the depiction that I really want playing in the house while the boys are walking around? They might not be paying attention to it, but if all they're seeing is black women on TV throwing their drinks at each other, and
Mm.
so I had to back away from it. But I tend to be an internalizer and a thinker, so I might be overthinking that.
No, I'm very similar in the sense that I don't watch reality TV either, and it just for me it's like it's not reality. Like if there are cameras, if there are whatever, it's somewhat edited, it's somewhat scripted. They like to have the drama because people tend to like to see drama. Like I don't like my own drama, but if I see drama on social media, I will read all the comments.
Yeah,
Twitter
popcorn.
especially, you know what I'm saying? I don't want my own drama though, and so I stopped watching years ago. I think, man, I want to say The Real World, but I don't remember what season. Might
Mhm.
have been, and but then also, I don't watch a ton of TV anyway.
Me either.
It was either I was in college and working full time because I went later in life. Now I run a business, and there's just always stuff to do. So I'm very
Mm,
intentional. Like if I'm gonna sit down and watch TV, I want to actually really, really enjoy it, and reality TV really just ain't. Now, The Circle on Netflix, I kind of got into that, but that's a little bit different because it's like a game show. You know what I mean? But all that Real Housewives of this and no, no, I don't do all that unless I'm somewhere and they're watching it. All right, but like me intentionally on purpose choose it? Absolutely not. No.
mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, that is my
Oh,
I get it. I've y'all be trying to snatch my black card over and over again for that, but
have you ever seen Women of Brewster's Place?
I don't think
It's like
so.
a mini series that Oprah did back in the day, and it has like a bunch of really amazing black actresses in it, Lynn Whitfield and
Okay,
a
okay.
bunch of other people. But it's like a mini series about these women who grew up in this apartment building and neighborhood area.
Mhm.
And it has some traumatic pieces to it. Like it discusses some things that have happened to these women because it examines their whole entire life and how they feel kind of stuck on this street in this
Mhm.
building or whatever and what they're trying to do. The building, not to give everything away, but the building uh, like basically sits at the end of a block, and there's nothing but a big, huge brick wall at the end.
Mm.
They feel like entrapped.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's this sense of entrapment that they experience. And so they talk about their whole life, but it's like a mini series. That's a good one that's way less traumatic than The Color Purple. But a good refresher on kind of some of the things that Black women went through before us. Some of the things I'm grateful that they fought against and endured, so that we could do more things than they did. So yeah, that's a good one. If you want to have a story to swap out, so that people don't take all your points, if you want.
Okay. Some compromise.
Yeah, there's balance.
Yeah. All right.
Casserole. Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've just never seen it, but that sounds a lot less traumatic than The Color Purple. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, y'all. So, Melanintoxication. These episodes are so intentional. To all my non-black listeners, this will always be a Black person highlighted in these shows, because the entire point of this thing is to highlight somebody who inspires me and really fits the meaning of the brand. So basically, melanintoxication happens when someone experiences feelings of euphoria in the presence of someone who's, in my opinion, or they might not even know, I can't even just say my opinion, in their opinion, the epitome of Black girl magic or Black boy joy, even if they don't know that that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so with Shawntal, like I said, I've known her since I was a kid, because she is the daughter of the only biological daughter. I'll say it like that.
You know, because you try to slip in there too.
Yeah, but then also there's Tina and Rita. You know what I'm saying? So, and then me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Don't forget about me.
Right.
This is all about me.
And of Miss Trish, which I've talked about her on here before, because man, she, even to this day, has played such an important role in my life. But when I met her, man, shout out to her, because shout
out to my mama. That's
like
my mama.
Like for real, because I just remember how I was at 15 and beyond, you know what I'm saying? Just so broken, have been through so many different things up to that point. And the way Miss Trish she didn't, like, she was, at that point, she was the only person that could, like, reach me, that I've just always had a soft spot for over 25 years, you know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing about it is, I became cool with her kids because of her. See, this is where I'm different from the rest of y'all that be trying to claim mistress.
Then we be like, nope, you're not in.
Yeah.
My mother, it's crazy to hear you talk about my mother, first off, because I'm sure my mother is really used to hearing people say stuff about me. But my mom is very much a different type of person than me. So she's more like quiet and reserved. And but she has made an impact on so many people's lives. And I don't often get to hear it. So it's like, I feel like proud mom or something, like, but in the reverse. So like proud daughter. So shout out to my mom. That's really cool for me to hear somebody say how much they have been influenced by her. Because I rarely get to have that time or that moment when people have experienced my mom like intimately, because she is kind of quiet or whatever. So yeah, that's dope to hear you talk about her in that way. And she loves young people, and she especially loves young teenage girls and interacting with them and trying to shape them. And she had me when she was a teenager, so that's a very important dynamic for her. And I feel like that's where a lot of her ministerial calling is. I feel like ministry happens outside of the church as well. And that's kind of, even though she may have met y'all through church, she keeps in contact. Erica Nasiaka is like that too. She's another one that we are like, yeah, we'll accept her. I don't know about these other little dusties that be trying to trail around behind you, but
okay, I like her, so I'll accept that too.
No, yeah, we love Erica too. So yeah, it's like two of y'all. That's it.
And it's so funny because I believe her birthday is the day before mine, if I'm not mistaken. It's like,
Erica's is.
yeah, and
Uh,
I worked with Josh, so that's how I got
uh,
to meet with her. But I love her, so because I am very territorial, territorial
me
over
too.
Miss Trish, as if she's like. But here's the thing, y'all. Her kids, by the grace of God, accepted me because I was not their friend first, and then got to know Miss Trish. Miss Trish would have me come over because she would braid my hair, and so I'm just spending the night, and they embrace me. You know what I'm saying? And so when I see all these other people, that I'm like, no, like absolutely not, because I know how her kids probably don't like sharing, and not in a rude way,
No.
but as I've gotten older and my kids start, because and that's what's so crazy is me doing youth ministry and all that. It's literally because of what Miss Trish poured into me, and I saw the value in
So
it.
dope.
And so, though my kids are adults now and they can't stand it, and I'm like, man, shout out to Shawntal and them, because they never made me feel like, and I always will tell them like, I love your mom, or tell her I said hi, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And now she done moved back, and
Yeah.
yes,
No,
but
I know my kids get sick of that too. I get text messages from my sons all the time. I saw somebody at the mall. They said hi. I'm like, somebody who? Like, what do they look like? One of your friends? I don't know. Like, all these people stop me, and I can't keep track of it. They know who
mm,
I am, and so yeah, I can understand that frustration by the kids. And we, of course, were like, okay, mom has somebody else that she's attached to again. Okay. Like, whatever. Yep. You in the family. But no, you and Erica definitely in. Y'all are invited to the cookout, to the family.
and it's so because recently, and then we'll get to the episode. She and I went to your mom and I went to lunch, and or it might have been we were on the phone, but she said something about that you had said, kind of like, okay, not, and it's not like, let me clarify, y'all. It's not like I was ever disliked by anyone, so it's not
Right,
that at
right.
all.
No, nothing like that.
But I definitely would do the most to make sure everybody knew, like, but I'm family too. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
kind of just longevity, the long game, because I was
I'm gonna
15.
wear them down. I'm just gonna wear
Yeah,
them
you know what
down.
I'm saying? And so it was recently that she said you were like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh my
I'm right
gosh.
there.
Because I know you were the most vocal out of the siblings, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm the
you,
oldest.
yeah, you are the gatekeeper. So if I'm getting in with you, like,
Ah,
I'm
I ain't
in there
cracking
for real. You know what I'm saying? So, God
Can't
is
tell you
good.
nothing now, huh?
And about once or twice a year, I make a Facebook status to let
Yeah.
people, like, I do the most, y'all. But yeah,
And
Miss
you
Trish,
always word it very intentionally, like, with the permission and the blessing of her children.
yes,
I am
yes,
saying this.
because
Hilarious.
I be speaking on behalf of y'all sometimes.
And then, like, you always have, like, that same type of feeling like we have, like, and don't the rest of y'all think that you're special, because you're not. Because,
Facts. And I know she would make y'all think you're special because that's just who she is. So I get it, but it's not that. You know what I'm
that
saying?
is
And she
funny.
told me I was her favorite when I came to Mr. Willie's funeral. So that's
Mm.
when she like, I always knew in my heart, you know what I'm saying? But when she verbalized it, I'm like, see, y'all really just, y'all can't tell me nothing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Ah, too funny.
Yes.
No,
So
I
y'all.
appreciate that. Thank you for loving on my mom.
Mm,
It's important to me that she has things that she's interested in. The older I get, the more I understand my mother as a woman and not
mm,
just a mom, if that makes sense.
mhm, mhm.
And I've been trying to really be reflective about that. I'm 47 now, and so
I be
just
forgetting that you're not like
yeah,
right.
I'm way older than my siblings. Like
Yeah, I be
they
forgetting that.
well, Tina's like 4 years younger than me, 4 or 5 years younger than me, and then everybody else is. And then Sharita is like 15 years younger
Yeah,
than me or
she's a
something, like
baby.
12. Yeah. So, but with my mom, I've really been trying to see more of her humanity and more of her as a Black woman, not just her role as a mother, like that she's
Mhm.
complex and, she's been through a lot in her life. I've learned a lot from her. And so it's nice just to hear other people experience like her grace and her
Mhm.
brilliance and all those things. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, y'all. So let me officially introduce Shawntal because her,
Don't
y'all,
read everything. I'm not playing. Don't read. You
I
don't have to
literally
do
about to. So
that. Summarize.
because I need y'all to get into like how dope she is. Like and then just how like authentic she is, and I've just learned so much just by watching her example. Like I said, she and I have not been super close because she was so much older than the rest of us. So even when we were younger, when I was closer to the kids, it was Tina, Patrick, Sean, Sharita, like it was
Mhm.
them that I was more around because she was older than us.
Yeah, I
Because
was off
me
at
being
college or something.
15, yeah, like you were already out of high school, but I've got to watch and it's so dope. So let's read all that she is. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be talking for a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
This
But
is always so awkward for me. I'm always like, what do you do when people are talking about you like
but it's
this?
real. You know what I'm saying? And they're
I
boasting
appreciate
on you. So it's not like you're
it.
out you're just doing it. You know what I'm saying? So she's a mother, daughter, sister, auntie, friend, sorority sister, very, very much into family. Like that is, and all that is basically family. When you become a friend, you're family. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
She's also an attorney, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Real life Claire Huxtable in this book. You know what I'm saying? And then a law
Girl.
professor. Like, what? And now we about to get into I'm literally about to I stole a lot of this from her LinkedIn and her IG. So she's a nonprofit executive leader, equity and inclusion consultant, and executive coach, a facilitator and a trainer, organizational strategist, human resources professional, thought leader, speaker. Y'all, she's a worshiper on the praise team at her
Yeah,
church.
God.
And as we already said, she is the daughter of one of my favorite people in the world. Again, can we officially welcome Shawntal Mallory Esquire? Yes, 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 yes.
I'm gonna have to have you travel with me when I do this cooking engagement, so you can bring me out. You can be my hype woman, and like we
Girl,
can be
yes.
DJ and all
Yes,
that.
because I have admired like all that she used to be on TV, y'all. I will never forget this. You know what I'm saying? I don't
You
remember
are
it,
embarrassing me.
but
I'm like
it's
blushing, so if I'm turning red, it's just my light skinnedness is like fading away from the summer.
but y'all, like, to see someone who a black woman, you know what I'm saying? Like she said, be in spaces that were predominantly white. When I say she was on TV, she was the only black woman on this panel with predominant. I don't know if there were any white women. I know there were white men, but I was gonna
No,
say I don't remember seeing
all
any
white
white
men.
women. So
Yeah.
the only woman representation on this show was her. Like that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Her being a law professor at the school that she's a law professor at is dope. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a very prestigious school here in Omaha. And so when you see black people, especially black women, where we are usually stereotyped as this, that, and the other, but then she's also authentic. So what I've learned a lot about, and we'll get into that, later in the show, but I've learned a lot about what it means to just be authentically you as a woman, as a believer, and that's one of the biggest things because man, legalism and all that stuff makes you feel like you can't just be true. And I haven't had many black women around my age, you know what I'm saying? Maybe the mothers in the church, like Miss Trish, yes, absolutely. but she's also, I mean, she could be, I mean, she is my mom, y'all, but y'all know what I mean. Like, but to have somebody close to my age like that, it's just been so dope. And so when I was looking, because I wanted to make sure I highlighted everything you do, because you do a lot, y'all. She's very active in the community. Like, she's always at community events. She's very about justice and us, you know what I'm saying? And so she also, fun fact, when I launched Melanintoxicate, she was one of the, like, I think I called
I
it
should have worn her
models.
shirt today. I wasn't thinking about
You know, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But
it.
she's one of the brand ambassadors, or I don't even, she was one of the models. So she's one of the people that I'm like, here, please, like, get the word out. And I did get some more IG followers that I looked to see who we had in common, and you were, you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So yeah, you know, and so all of that is true, y'all. This is like, she's very humble too. That's the thing too. She does all this stuff and she just does it. I don't ever see her boast about what she's doing. She does talk about what she's doing, of course, because you have to, but it's never in a prideful way. And that's the beautiful thing too, is I think God continues to elevate us when we're humble and we have the right heart. And her heart is truly to, I think I saw calling over, I forget how you worded it, but her calling. She's called to do all of these things and be in these
Calling
spaces.
over career.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yep, that's what it was. So, the lawyer. Let's talk about that. What made you, like, what was that like? What made you want to be a lawyer? Like,
Sure.
yeah.
Um, at first, I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician obstetrician.
Mm,
So I was like a pre-med major, a biology pre-med major when I first started at Creighton.
mhm.
And I've always wanted to um, work with kids or impact kids. And that was what I thought was going to be my path to do it. I've always wanted to be that, and I've always wanted to be a mother. So my mom keeps these books that she has that have like stuff from every year that we were in grade school, and you know, our little picture, and
Mhm.
we got to write on them what we wanted to be when we grew up, and so mine changed every year, but I always wanted to be a mom. I always wrote, you know, mom on there. And so sometimes I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Sometimes I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I even went through this stint where I thought I wanted to be a detective.
Oh, girl, me
So
too.
I think that was just the Black woman in me, like, because we will get to the bottom of some
Yes,
stuff.
yes, we
But,
will.
so I went to Creighton and I started to take my science courses, and I was like, this isn't it. Like, I was really, really working hard to get like a low B, and
Mm,
it just wasn't. I was like, gosh, I don't have to do this for like 12 years. Like,
mm,
and you know, sometimes I think back and I'm like, I probably could have like pushed through it and made it through, but was it what I was called to do? And I just didn't feel that
mhm,
calling. And when you're 18, you know, my son is 16 now, and he's kind of been experiencing like this pressure. Some of it is, I think, self-induced to like decide what he's going to do. You only have 2 more years left. You got to hurry up. You got
mhm.
to grow up. And he's like, that's a lot for like a 16 to 18-year-old to process. And I said, you're right. And I kind of shared my story with him about changing my major and how you might think that we don't want you to just absolutely have a plan that you're going to work for the rest of your life. We want you to start getting out there and being independent and feeling it out and
Mhm.
trying to make a decision on what you want to do. But that might change. And for me, that changed. So it was like after freshman year, I was like, this isn't it, with all of the science and the stuff that I was taking. I just didn't want to do it. And so I thought about going into elementary education because again, I wanted to work with young people. And then
Mhm.
I was like, I don't want to teach in schools. Like other people's kids get on my nerves. Like on a daily basis. Like I don't
Right.
know that that's what I want to do. And all I ever hear about is like how underpaid and under appreciated
Mm.
teachers are and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I don't think that's it. I do want to work with youth, but not in that way. And so one day I was on campus and I saw a pre-law club flyer and I was like, let me go see what that's about. And so, I've been thinking about being a lawyer, only black face in there.
Mm.
And they were getting ready to prepare for mock trial competitions. And they needed some more people to be expert witnesses because all the attorney spots were already full. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it, see what it's about, see if I'm interested. I had changed my major to communication studies because I knew I love to talk and persuade people and,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. And so make presentations and stuff. And so I'm in my communication studies classes and I'm doing like this role as an expert witness. And some people were graduating and I was like, I'm going to do the attorney
Mm.
piece the next year and did it. And it just like you have that moment, you know how you see it on TV and it's like,
Yeah.
that was that moment for me where I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like,
Mm.
I love this. Like, this makes my adrenaline run. This is, I could figure out how to make this fulfilling. I just loved it. And so I became the first Black president of the pre-law club at Creighton
Come
and
on.
did like a bunch of mock trial stuff with them and won regional awards and outstanding attorney awards and started to study for my LSAT and apply to college or law schools. I got into 5 law schools, but Creighton gave me the most scholarship money and I
Mm.
had already went to Creighton for undergrad. So I stayed at Creighton and graduated from there. So
Mm.
that
And
is, that's how I got there.
you've been a lawyer for how long? How many years now?
16.
Okay.
So I took about 5 years off after law school. I was pregnant with our first child with Derek, and I just wanted like a year to be a mom. And I
Mm.
was due the week that I was supposed to take the bar exam. So I wasn't going to chance going into labor and forfeiting all that money and not being able to take the exam. So I was like, I'll wait a year. And then a year turned into 5 years.
Mm.
So I was like really enjoying being a mom. And I was working in education and in higher education, working with young people, but
Okay.
not in a teacher role like in the classroom. And I liked it, and it was fulfilling, my purpose. What I feel is one of my purposes, which is to impact youth and to give a safe space and safety for youth. And so I was enjoying that. And my mom and them were like, "Hey, you ever gonna take that bar exam? Like, what are you gonna do with that degree that you?" And I was like, oh, "Okay." So I took the bar exam, and that's when I started practicing in 2006.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
And my practice has consisted mainly of some employment law, a lot of employment law stuff, and then a lot of family and juvenile law. And that's how I ended up encompassing like everything about me that is youth oriented. So I
Mm.
represented for 16 years, I represented youth in the juvenile court system in Douglas County in the proceedings against their parents for abuse and neglect
Oh wow.
as an attorney guardian ad litem. And then
Okay.
sometimes I played other roles. I've represented parents before. I've been guardian ad litem for adults who have like mental health issues or deficiencies that cause them not to be able to understand the proceedings.
Mhm.
They need someone to act as their guardian. And I've done adoptions and all kinds of other stuff in juvenile court. But that was kind of my main practice when I was strictly doing the practice of law.
Wow. Okay. I did. That was you answered it because I was gonna ask what type of law did you practice, which I always think it's weird that they say practice because I feel like you're doing it, but
Yeah.
the
It
English
really
language.
is a practice though, because there's no like set answer. Just like there's you have a medical practice. Trust
Mm.
me, when they come into the room, they don't necessarily they know things they've seen in other patients or
Mhm.
things that they've learned or researched or things to try. But it really
Mhm.
is kind of like a practice. You go in there and you're constantly learning.
Okay.
Every year we have a continuing legal education requirement, so we have to take more legal education every year to keep our license active. So I think that's kind of why they call it a practice.
Okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah,
So you mentioned a couple of times. I don't know if y'all caught this. She said when she went to the mock trials. She was the only Black person in the room.
Mhm.
She said she was the first Black president. So as a Black woman in your career field, and even we could even say in school or just throughout your journey, if there have been challenges, which I say if because I wanted to put that, but I can only imagine that there have been different things. But what has been the hardest to navigate throughout that journey?
Whew, that's a good question. I think one of the hardest situations that I've ever had to navigate being a Black woman is having my credibility challenged on a
Mm,
continual basis. Um, and that shows up in a lot of different ways. I have a lot of good friends who are white women who position themselves in ways that they support me and that they elevate me, and they speak my name in rooms that I'm not in a favorable way,
mhm,
and they recommend me for things, they support me. I do a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion training, and my business partner and training partner is a white woman. And so I have some really amazing relationships with white women, and I've also had some very poor interactions with white women, especially in office spaces.
mm,
And I don't know if it's like an intimidation factor or what it is, but I've experienced quite a bit. I won't say quite a bit. I've had a couple of women that I've interacted with who challenge my credibility on a regular basis, um, as if I try to be, like you said, very humble. I am very much not in any of the things that I'm in right now because just solely because of me. Like it's definitely a God thing. It's the shoulders of many family members and friends and people who have navigated these spaces before us in even worse conditions that I stand on those shoulders. It's like I said, a lot of Black women giving me opportunities, speaking my name in rooms that I'm not in, sponsoring me, mentoring me, all of those things. um, but there have been some white women who have made that incredibly challenging for me,
mm,
and um, I've been in some nonprofit spaces with some folks who are supposed to be doing things for the good of the community, specifically marginalized communities like the Black community.
mhm,
And they don't operate that way when it comes to us being in the boardroom. And I don't know if
mm,
that's intimidation, if that's a feeling that I don't deserve to be in that space or what, when I clearly have the qualifications to do it. I'm not saying that in a bragging way, but um, that's been the most difficult thing to navigate. I've actually departed from a workplace that I enjoyed a great deal because I was tired of dealing with that
mm,
type of dynamic. So it's difficult when you have a higher set of credentials than some people and they still don't give you the respect that you deserve as you're presenting your ideas in
mhm,
a workspace. So that's probably been the hardest thing for me. I would say sometimes also a little bit of isolation, just because you don't have the code switch is real tiring. Like
mhm.
you just don't, you leave sometimes a space and you're just like exhausted, and um, you're trying to navigate these spaces and present yourself in a way where people can get past your skin, to a certain extent so that they can listen to you,
Mhm,
but you also want them to respect your skin. It's like this dichotomy that you have to navigate, and that all that stuff is kind of exhausting, and it's also isolating when you're the only person in the room. A
mhm,
lot of times it looks like you, talks like you, has the same lived experience as you. When you're in spaces in juvenile court or any of the other spaces that I've navigated in the legal system, where a lot of the people who are affected look like you, but you're on the other side of that trying to
mm,
effectuate change kind of by yourself, or
mhm,
so I would say those are some of the difficult challenges. And then just like when you're the first in your family to do some things,
mhm,
um, everybody doesn't necessarily understand why you can't be present for things, or why you're busy, or why you're this or that. And you don't have anybody that you can really go to and say, how do I navigate this? Like, I had a lot of classmates, they're like, oh, my dad's a judge, my mom is a lawyer, those kinds of things. I didn't necessarily have that foundational understanding. When you're first generation college bound or first generation attorney, you're first generation everything. Like, your whole view is seeing it for the first time. You don't have that benefit of having other people. So that can be kind of isolating too.
That's good. Not like the struggle, but just I had not even considered all of that. But it makes sense. And it kind of reiterates where I've talked a lot on here about the importance of community and the importance of having people, like being around like-minded people that in all things, as an entrepreneur, as a content creator, whatever. Community is so important, and it's unfortunate when it's harder to get, you know what I'm saying? Because you're the only you that I know. Like, I don't know any other black female attorneys. I know a lot of black women doing dope things, you know what I'm saying? I know a
There's a
judge.
reason for that. Like, we're literally kind of like the unicorns of our profession. Less than 2% of attorneys are black women. So we're a very small percentage. That's why it's so hard to find us. But I am encouraged that there are more of us out there. It's slow, very slow, but we're starting to see more. I remember when I started in juvenile court, I was the only or one of two black women that were up in that area doing guardian ad litem work, representing kids, with a whole bunch of black and brown and indigenous kids up there. And so now there are more. I'm starting to see more. And there are some women who are Asian and Jewish, and just a lot more diversity up there, multiracial or biracial. So that's nice to start. It's encouraging for me. Like, I'm never that person who's like, I have to hoard everything to myself. Like,
Right.
I am happy to say, I can't do that. I don't have the capacity or the bandwidth right now to serve on that board, but let me introduce you to this black woman attorney, because she's amazing and she will do just as good a job as me, and start to usher some of those things toward other people, because it can get exhausting because everybody only knows you. So I'm everybody's only black attorney resource. So I'd say 80% of my inboxes on social media are like, hey, so can I buy you lunch or something? Because I had a question, or not even that, just like, I need to ask you a question. Can I call you? That kind of thing. So.
And I remember I sent Kayliana your way when she needed it, because I'm like, because you're the only one that I know, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah.
But that's important. Like, that representation is what, in the work that I'm trying to do now, I'm executive director for a newly founded organization called the Nebraska Legal Diversity Council. And we're trying to make our profession more diverse, inclusive, equitable in Nebraska. And part of that, a big reason, the why for that, is representation. People want to walk into court and see folks that look like them, not just other defendants or anything like that, but people behind the bench, people helping them. I've physically seen, like, people's shoulders drop when they walk into court and they know I'm going to be their guardian ad litem, because once they get to know me, they know I've had similar lived experience to you. I understand the culture of how we raise kids, how we do family. I understand that it's important to have cousins that aren't really cousins, but they're cousins.
Right.
Where you can't tell me, like, these people aren't important to me. Like, I understand the whole dynamic of the black culture, and it gives people ease because they know it's somebody they can relate to. And we need more of that in the legal profession. People need to walk into law offices, walk into courtrooms, and see people that look like them.
So with that, you're an attorney, and then you are also a law professor. And so, which you did say you originally kind of thought about getting into education, so then that makes sense. But when in your career did you decide, you know what, because you teach a specific thing, so I want you to talk about that too. But when in your career did you see such a need? Because if I'm not mistaken, you created this curriculum, right? And you presented it, because I remember you, again, she's not bragging ever. It's like, more like a thank God they accepted the curriculum that I
For real,
presented. You know
like
what I'm
every day.
saying?
I'm glad that comes across in anything
Yeah.
that I post, because I'm always like, no, it's not me. Like I couldn't have predicted this path for my career. I
Mhm.
literally thought something completely different, and God is like, nope, you're gonna do this, you're
Mhm.
gonna do that, and I'm like, me? Are you talking to me? You know, so it just happens that way, and I'm grateful for it. It's created an amazing career that's like, I wake up every day and every day is different for me, and I love it because he's
Mm.
just opening different doors. So
Mhm.
um yeah, to kind of answer your question, I think you making me think about some things that I haven't really kind of totally reflected on. You know, education has always been important to me, so it was something that, like, I remember when I was younger knowing that I was going to go to college, but I really didn't know where college was, or like how
Mm.
you got there, or
Mhm.
what that meant. I surely didn't know it cost this much money.
Girl.
uh, Shout out to Joe Biden. If he could raise that amount, then he's gonna forgive those
Yeah.
loans, so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
be appreciative.
Same.
But but you know, like, education has always been something that's important to me, and it's always been taught to me as like a key that unlocks additional doors for you. And so
Mhm.
if I can be a part of that experience for other students, then that's always been important to me. So I've worked in Omaha Public Schools. I worked at Creighton University, in a pre-college program called Upward Bound, a trio
Okay.
program.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
getting first generation college bound students ready, because that was my experience. So I think my engagement with education has always been kind of a lift as you go type of experience.
Mhm.
So um, let me let me be a professional staff for Upward Bound, because Upward Bound helped me to figure out what a college campus was like, and live in dorms and take some college credits before I got started. And it was so instrumental to my success. Let me go help other Upward Bound students. A
Mm.
lot of my Upward Bound students are like 30 years old with kids now. We still maintain a lot of contact and stuff like that, because it's like, once I get into people's lives, kind of like my mom, then we're just like, we're family, you know, that's
Mhm.
just how it is. And so those were opportunities for me. I've always like tutored other kids, and it's really just trying to help more and more Black kids, to be real honest with you.
Mhm.
And then with this newest venture in education, the law school called me. This was kind of after the George Floyd murder, and they were getting a lot of pushback from students that there wasn't enough about race in our curriculum. And they
Mm.
asked me would I be interested in teaching a course. And
Wow.
um, you know, we want something along the lines of an examination of American law and racism, and you know, put something together and tell us what you have. And so I had to sit down and really like start to read and figure out what textbook I wanted to use, and plot out like a whole semester of lectures and material and all that kind of stuff. And so this one is very much about helping Black students that are in law school, affirming their experiences, and really bringing attention to the intersection of racism and American law, and
Mm.
sometimes how the American legal system has been used as a weapon toward people of color.
Mhm.
But it's also about reaching uh, my students that are not people of color. I
Mhm.
have about half and half in my class, and I want to reach them in a way that they are effective allies,
Mm.
that they are willing to have these difficult conversations, and that they can navigate these predominantly white spaces from a perspective where they're not harming other people,
Mhm.
where they understand the realities of the racial construct in America, racism, American law, how they are out here being prosecutors and public defenders, and they literally have people's lives in their hands. How are you going to do that more ethically? How are you going to do that through a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens, so that you're not out here making the justice system even more toxic?
Mm.
So it's like both. I want to be there for the Black students who are in law school, and other students of color who are in law school, and validate their experiences, give them a course that really teaches them how their culture and identity has been basically traumatized by some things that have happened in the justice system, and how there have been laws that have given us rights that we didn't have, and kind of what those movements look like.
Mhm.
But I also want to talk to my white students and say, now that your eyes are open to this, what are you going to do about it? How are you
Mm.
going to take this into your practice and be a better attorney because you now know these things? I
Mhm.
have a lot of students in my class, white students mainly, who say, we will talk about things that happened during Jim Crow and during slavery. My course covers the history of American law and its interaction with race from colonialism to present day. That's
Mm.
a lot to cover in
Yeah.
one semester.
Yeah.
And a lot of them come in and they're in a terminal degree program, mind you. Like, this is a where you get your doctorate when you go to law school. And
Mhm.
they're like, why didn't I know this before? Like, why has nobody ever taught this? This was not the history version that I was taught. And so it's interesting to me. Now your eyes are open. Now you
Mhm.
know, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to be a better legal practitioner because of that? And so that's kind of what I try to do in my race and law class. And I teach that in the spring semester every year. So, um, and I enjoy it a lot. Like, I'm nervous like a brand new teacher every week when I go in to teach. I'm like, is it landing the way I want it to land?
Mhm.
Are they getting what I want them to get? Like, we do a lot of reflection papers and stuff like that, because I really want it to be an experience in mindfulness, not just like the normal law school class. So I'm
Mm.
incredibly grateful for um, that opportunity. And I'm grateful that I stayed in contact with Creighton Law School all these years, just because they thought about me to call me in. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. And I love that you're nervous because someone once told me that it shows that you care. You know what I'm saying? It shows, like you said, you're wanting to make sure that they're getting it the way that they should and that they're applying it and just all these things. So, but the first thing when you said they reach out to you, I was like, wow, like that's amazing because I didn't really ask questions or anything when you posted it, but I thought maybe you had said like you knew it was a need, you know what I'm saying? And that you said, "Oh, okay, let me."
I've always known it was a need.
Yeah.
Just, I think George Floyd's murder triggered so much stuff in this country,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it really created like a resurgence of social justice,
Mhm.
and that movement. And we do have, to the credit of a lot of my white students, they've asked for this class too. Like,
Yep.
this newer generation of young people is way more open to diversity, equity, and inclusion
Mhm.
the previous generations were. And so, a lot of them are wanting the information too, which is great. I love it. Now there are a lot who are still resistant to the information as well, but I do enjoy having my students in my class that are like, I want to learn, I want to be better,
Mhm.
or I come from a family where, these were the beliefs and I don't believe that stuff, and I
Mhm.
want to do something different. And so I'm grateful. And so I usually have about 15 students in my class. So I'm definitely not reaching everybody. There's probably like 500 students in the law school, but
Mhm.
if I can just make little ripples. I get asked to guest lecture in other courses a lot, just to talk about how DEI intersects with whatever that law school course is.
Mhm.
I just bought a book about how you infuse like diversity with doctrine. How do you introduce that diversity conversation in contracts and constitutional law and criminal law and property law? And so that's my goal. If I can do anything with the time at Creighton, is to really spread the word that this needs to be a thread throughout the entire law school. Like, I can't be the only person teaching about these things.
Right.
15 people is like throwing a pebble in the ocean. Like,
Mhm.
I need more people to teach it so it ripples out and touches more. But I'm grateful for the start, and I'm thankful for the ability and the capacity to do it.
Mm. Yes, y'all. Y'all are hearing a lot. So, we've talked about her career, but the most important thing to her is motherhood and family. You heard when she wrote things she wanted to be as a little kid. The career aspirations changed, but mom was always there. And you're very intentional, as we talked about earlier, about pouring into others, giving back to the community. She has so many people that know that know her in a different capacity because she mentored them or like had that type of role in their life. Like DeQuisha, for example. And I know you guys are sorority sisters,
Mm-hmm.
but also as her being someone who's younger than even me, you've served like that mentor role. And
Yep.
so she's very intentional about pouring into people, but also very deeply, deeply committed to her kids, to her siblings, to her nieces and nephews, and the rest of her family. And I don't even understand how you have the capacity to do all this stuff, honestly. How do you balance all of that? Because, I mean, just the career is a lot. But what I know is you're also, if not even more, deeply invested in your family and all that stuff. Like you take intentional solo trips with kids and you know what I'm saying and stuff like that. How do
Mm-hmm.
you balance all that and still have time for you?
I mean, I can't say that that's something that I'm perfect at, the balance piece. I just keep trying every day, and I try
Hmm.
not to beat myself up about it, because I feel like my intention is to be as balanced as possible.
Hmm.
I can tell when I'm off balance though, and when I need to pull it back in, or I need more time with my family, or when family stuff is kind of on overload and I need to, pay more attention to my work or whatever. And I think that that comes with practice and with maturity and um, self awareness.
Hmm.
I try to be intentional about, self care time and spending time with the boys, my sons, and spending time with my siblings. I don't always balance that out the most. I probably owe Sharita the biggest apology out of all my siblings because she's the youngest. And so, like, me and Tina are kind of closer in age. And then,
Hmm.
me, Patrick, and Sean are like both the same parents. I'm from a blended family, y'all. And so, I don't know, Sharita's so much younger than me. It's not until she's gotten older when we've had more in common that we've
Hmm.
got to spend more time together. But I think you just kind of do what you have to do. I
Hmm.
mean,
True.
one of the most frequent questions I get from people is, "When do you sleep?" And I'm like, "Oh, mother needs her sleep. Like, I'm gonna get my sleep if it's on the couch." You know, Damari, my youngest son, jokes about all the different places that I fall asleep in the house because I got like a recliner, and I'll fall asleep on the balcony. I'll go out there to relax, and before I know it, my head is not.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think the biggest piece of it is listening to myself. And I, I guess as an oldest child, I've always been kind of programmed to nurture others and be there for others and do things for others. And it's part of what makes me who I am. I'm a caregiver. I'm a caretaker, and
Mhm.
um, being the oldest, you always have a lot of responsibility. And I'm like the first girl grandchild on both sides. And you and I know that a lot of the work falls on the
Mhm.
girls. All shade to Patrick and Sean, all shade to So I know I just kind of do what I have to do, and I try to love on people as best as I can. And with my boys, like, they're just the two most amazing gifts I've ever been given. And I know I haven't done everything perfect, but I've really tried with them to be very, very intentional about how I am as a mother. Um, Derek is 22 now. And so he had kind of the first 6 years of life with me by himself, and I got a chance to really pour into him. And so I tell Mari, now you get me on the back end for like,
Mhm.
5 or 6 years, because Derek's like got his own apartment and he's
Mhm.
working. I'm still, with him all day, every day, helping him and doing all these things. He's pretty independent though. Um, but now Mari has some of that intentional time with me by himself, and so I try to pour into him and know when to slow down, make time,
Mhm.
for it just to be he and I. So I love my family though. So like, it's not a chore to me. It's not like I got to check something off my list. I
Mm.
like to spend time with my family. I love to hang out with my siblings. My dad is, he had some back surgeries, and so he's in a wheelchair right now. So he
Mhm.
needs a little bit of extra assistance, and so I love to do those things for him. And even when he's getting on my nerves or he's being grumpy, it's still my dad. I'm his only daughter, so.
Yeah, because you all are like, and I have three other siblings, and I've always admired you all's relationships because from the outside looking in, even though I know we're always harder on ourselves about whatever because we're like we could do more, whatever. But from the outside looking in, and just what I know of y'all, you guys have always been really close, and I've always admired that because, and I love my siblings, don't get me wrong, but we're not close like that. Like me and Ramel are only 3 years apart, but because he moved away at college and then he moved back a few years ago, but he has a wife and kids. So, and he's and he also pastors a church. So it's kind of like he's very into his family. I see him at holidays. If I was to call him because I needed something, he'd be there. You know what I'm saying? So it's no shade. I don't have any beef with my siblings, but the time that y'all like hang out and do stuff intentionally as a group, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why for me looking at, I'm like, she's still very intentional about family. And I mean, I'm intentional with my kids, so that's different. But yeah, the sibling piece, because but you said it, you like your family. Because some people they don't.
Next. And you can't pick your family, right? So,
Mm,
I would say a lot of that too is like a strong example that was set by my parents.
hmm
My father is very family oriented, and his family was very close knit. They just happened to all be a lot older. So the
mm,
people who I called aunt and uncle when I was growing up were actually my great aunts and uncles, and a lot of them have passed away. And so we have a very small family on that side, but very close knit. And then on my mom's side, we have this big, huge family. And
hmm
we didn't even really need friends, to be honest. We had cousins. Like my birthday party was always full of cousins and people staying the
hmm
night and stuff. So growing up with that foundation that my grandparents set up, and that my mom and her siblings have really tried to be intentional about instilling in us that family over everything. Family is important. And then the pandemic kind of separated everybody out. And so when I took a trip a couple weeks ago, I think that's what you're referencing too with Damari, we
hmm
went down to Texas. We have a lot of family in Dallas and Houston. And it was so good to be with everybody again. And so now we're planning Thanksgiving, and we're
mm,
thinking about a cruise because we're like, that's everything all in one: childcare, food, everything, like
hmm
make payments. We're trying to make sure that everybody that wants to do it can. So I think a lot of it is just, I'm a big on, I know I keep saying the word, but like being intentional.
hmm
I feel like we just go through life sometimes on autopilot,
hmm
and we really have to stop and be intentional about like, who haven't I talked to? Who do I need to reach out to? Who do I need to spend some time with? With us having a blended family, with step parents and all that kind of stuff, it hasn't always been easy. There were two divorces involved, and
hmm
our parents met, and we kind of all got meshed together like the little black Brady Bunch,
Yep.
black kids, So, but we spent a lot of time together. We became very close as siblings. I don't even say like stepsister
Right.
or anything like that. Those are my sisters. Those are my brothers. We know our family dynamics. People tell me that me and Tina look alike all the time. And we always just kind of smile because a lot of people don't realize that we don't have the same parents. Like,
Right.
married each other, but I have a different mom and dad. She has a different mom and dad. But I think we just been around each other so long
Mhm.
that we look alike. But um, I would say that's been the one thing that's been a little bit harder is like Tina and Sharita. Tina and Sharita are organically kind of together because they're, bio sisters. And then me, Tina, and Sharita are all together because we're the girls. And then me and my brothers are together because we have the same parents.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick and Sean are only like a year and a half apart. So they're like twins pretty much.
Right.
So it's really been bringing the five of us together at the same time. That's where the challenge sometimes comes in, but we are very committed to that. And then when we lost our stepdad a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years ago, we really got together and recommitted because Tina especially was kind of scared, like, well, now that daddy is gone, or, we don't have that link anymore. That's what
Mm-hmm.
made us siblings, was that my dad married to your mom. So I don't want to lose y'all too. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, that's not gonna happen. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
still all of us. So
Because
we're
they were married
together about that.
30 years, right?
1 years, yeah.
Yeah, so nah.
Yeah, so they got married when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tina was probably like 10 or 9 or something like that at that time. So we've been, you know, together for a long time. So
Mm-hmm. And that's why, y'all, at the beginning, I said only biological daughter because I know they don't like, and I
but
know
they
it's a
have a
blended.
mom who's
Yeah,
delightful. I
yeah,
want, hey, Mama Gwen, like I hang out with their mom too. So
right. So, like,
it's
I
nice.
know it's a blended family, but I also know how close they are that, like, that's their siblings. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to make sure to not make it seem like she's the only daughter. She's just the
Right.
only one that Miss Trish gave birth to. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And then the bonus daughters, and then me,
Right. The
and then
most,
Erica. All right, because I love Erica, so I'll allow it.
but you real reluctant, like your voice sound like, yeah, Erica.
And it's wild because it's somebody I know. So, and I think
Right.
that's God, because if it was a stranger, I would not care anything about who she is. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
because I've known Miss Trish longer, but
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you do for self-care then? What's your favorite thing? I guess we'll say that. What's your favorite thing to do for self-care?
Be it like the combination of travel and shopping is probably
Mm,
my favorite thing. If I can't travel or shop because that stuff is expensive, like um, I love my balcony. I love
mm,
sitting out on my balcony and just like enjoying the weather and music and stuff like that. Church is self care for me. That's probably
mm,
my favorite self care of all. I have
mhm,
to go every Sunday that I can. And I also like going to get like a manicure, a pedicure, a
mhm.
massage. I think self care is like it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's me saying, I'm turning this ringer off on this phone and I'm taking this nap on this couch. I'm gonna watch TV until TV watches me. And I know I have things that I probably could be doing, but I'm gonna listen to my body
Mm,
and lay down. It doesn't always, I think a lot of times, like the self care movement that we see in social media is like, you have to go on these extravagant trips and do all this stuff. And
mhm,
I think it's taking that intentional time. I like to read. I love to get up in the morning and do my morning Bible devotional before anything else.
mhm.
I'm a music person and yeah, so lots of different things. I love to ride my bike. I like
Yep.
our walking trails in Omaha. When I'm on the bike, I can just think about not falling off the bike, like just the bike, and not like, oh, I have this due, I got to pay this bill, or whatever else is going on. You just
Mhm.
focus on the ride and the scenery and not falling, like I said, because I'm old now, so I falling off bikes. So yeah, those are some of the things.
I want y'all to pay attention to what she said, that it ebbs and flows. So pay attention to your body. She said that a few times, that self-awareness thing. Pay attention to what you actually need and be okay with, doing what you got to do. And she mentioned church, so that was a great segue to the next thing. One of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that I've always, like, she honestly helped me see, like, okay, you can fully love God but still have jokes. You know what I'm saying? You can fully love God, but also fully be for the black community. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to pick and choose, because God cares about all of these things. And she has been such a great model of that, but especially the piece about being authentically us, because that's something that, because I've been in spaces where not Miss Trish at all. You know what I'm saying? But again, some of the elders that I've been around, it's like, well, you need to do this or you need to do that, and making me feel like I need to be more reserved than I actually am. And so as I've kind of watched her and just see, and then also the transparency piece, and I'm not saying she tells all her business, but she never portrays herself to be someone without struggle or, perfect or any of that stuff, which I also love as well, because another thing I've experienced is people, it's almost like they forgot what God delivered them from, and then they become super judgmental. And I'm like, is that what drew you to God, the judgment, or was it the love and the grace and the
Right.
kindness and the freedom and all that?
Mm-hmm.
So in your journey, was there ever a point where you had to just like break free? Because that's been my experience, where I had to like break free from religion. Or have you just kind of always known, like, no, I'm gonna be authentically me and love God, or kind of what has that been like?
That's a great question. So I grew up at first Catholic when my parents were together, married. My dad is Catholic still, and
Okay, I did not know that.
yeah. So I grew up, and then when I grew up Catholic, and then when my parents divorced, my mom um, started going to like non-denominational Christian churches, or like we were at a Baptist church for a long time. And so when I was growing up Catholic, I enjoyed like the stories of the Bible and things like that that they taught us, but I didn't feel that connection with the Catholic Church, and I
Hmm.
didn't always agree with some of the things that the Catholic Church practices or believes. When we got to St. Mark Baptist Church, which is where I primarily grew up from 13 on, that was when I had that moment where it clicked, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is me. This is where I fit in. This is
Hmm.
how I experience God in a way that's transformative for me, not just stand up now, sit down, kneel, say the same thing at every service. That's what
Hmm.
Catholic school and Catholic church was like for me. It was routine, it was legalism, um it was like religion, but what about the relationship piece?
Mm.
And so as I started to grow and develop as a teenager and really figure out who God was to me and um how I could experience religion. I grew up in a church that Baptist church was like one of those churches where you don't wear a skirt in the sanctuary, and
Mm.
all those kinds of things. So it had a lot of those rules to it, but it wasn't as rigid as going to Catholic school.
Mhm.
Now, even older, fun fact about me, I had a period of about 13 years where I was unchurched while I was.
Mm.
I'm now divorced, but while I was married, I kept, my ex-husband met me, he knew that I was a church girl, like that I loved going to church. I was very involved in ministry at church and sang in the choir and did all that stuff. And so there was always like this dynamic where I was asking, can we join the church? Can we go to church? We would go back and visit my old church and stuff like that, but he didn't want to be a member there. And I kept waiting for like this biblical time when he was going to lead us. And I kept trying to get that, and it
Mm.
never happened. And so then I finally said, I feel like a piece of me is missing. And I felt that way the whole 13 years. And I just need to go out and find that missing piece. And so that's when
Mhm.
I started looking for churches and connected with another Baptist church. And I felt so much better after that. So I say all that to say that the relationship piece of it is so important to me. And it was through going through all those experiences that I developed that. It was through being in a church that didn't fit, being without church and community with other Christians.
Mhm.
And then going through some of the toughest things that I've gone through in my life, including my own divorce.
Mhm.
That is where I know that everything will be okay. I know that God is a provider because I remember how tough it was to start over basically
Mhm.
and to be responsible for everything now. And to have these two boys looking at me like, okay, now you made this big decision. Now what's going to happen with us?
Mm.
There's freedom in that. There's also anxiety in that. And so it's caused me to really develop my relationship with leaning and depending on God. Because I truly, some things I look back and I'm like, I don't know how that even came about. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how these things, it's nothing but God. I did not orchestrate any of that. It's just kind of the ways that he opens doors and provides when you're faithful and when you give him the glory for the things that he gives you. He trusts you with more because he knows he's going to get what he wants out of it, which is glory. It's other people seeing that he's done this for you and he can do the same thing for them. So that's what I try to do, but in an authentic way, because I like the jokes and I like the music and I like to hang out and I like to, have fun, but there are ways that I can have fun and not compromise my principles of who I am. Like, I'm just that person who's like, enjoy your drink. I might not drink that, or I might not do that. But I'm not convicting you for what you're doing. My hope is that you would see me and say, well, you don't have to be like completely lit to have a good time. Maybe I'll see what's going on with her or what she's doing. She goes to church. Maybe I'll come visit with her, or, whatever it is. So I try to be a real person. And really, when you look at, scripture, you look at the Bible, like Jesus is the best example for that. If you look at who Jesus hung out with in the Bible, it was all the troublemakers, like the harlots and the lepers and the tax collectors and the prostitutes and the people with all the issues, folks that were hearing voices and possessed by demons and all. This was Jesus's crew. Like, these were the people that he was around. Some of his disciples cussed and gambled and, just did all kinds of stuff. And God wasn't like, he sent his son to be an example of how we should behave toward other people, not in a judgmental or condemning way, but really God was intentional in placing Jesus in all those people's lives so we could learn how to treat each other. So I try to treat each other in that way that I've seen modeled in scripture and not be that like overly judgy, overly rule oriented Christian, but I try to just let God shine through me and what I do authentically. And that doesn't, for some reason, people think that means that you got to be a stick in the mud and you got to be boring. And, you can't dance or you can't, enjoy anything. Like, no, I'm going to enjoy everything. Sometimes I might enjoy stuff a little bit too much. Thank God for forgiveness and grace. I tell people all the time, I wasn't always saved, so I remember what that's like. And, I try to make sure that I form relationships with people where they can see God in me. And you have to be careful sometimes. Everybody's at different places in their Christian walk. And so some people might not be at a level of maturity where they can say, yeah, I heard her cuss the other day, but I know where her heart is. And I know where her focus is. I'm not going to completely say, oh, see, that's why I don't do church because, they all do this and they all do that. Don't pedestalize me. But at the same time, I hope that something that I'm doing, you see Jesus through me. I hope all that rambling made sense. But
no, it was good. And you actually answered the other question that was as part of this section. So yeah, no, I did not know though. That's so interesting that your mom comes from a Catholic background because so does my mom.
My dad.
Oh, your dad. Okay. But I mean, she was a part of it. You know what I'm saying? When they were married.
She didn't go. I think that was her thing. She was like, yeah, I'm not going to that. Because my mom, I don't remember my mom ever going to Catholic church with us. I think she was like, yeah, that's where I'm going to draw my line right there. So, yeah. Because her parents grew up not grew up, but her parents were a part of a Baptist church. So
gotcha.
When she left, that's how we ended up getting into Black church. I was like, this is what because that other stuff really didn't make a lot of sense to me. So these are my people. This is my tribe. I'm with it. I would say out of all of my siblings, I'm the only one that's really like super involved in church. Tina has had periods where she has been off and on. Patrick and Sean do Catholic church with my dad every once in a while, more Sean than Patrick. Patrick kind of likes the non-denominational vibe. I'm like diehard Baptist preacher, Baptist choir. Like I'm with all that. So I'm different, I guess, than all of them, but I'm a little bit older than them. So I was able to make some of those more independent decisions a little bit quicker than they were.
Okay, because my mom, she grew up Catholic, and then I never had to experience that. My auntie still is, and that's how my cousins were raised. But my mom used to always, before she even became a believer, she would send us to church. I remember when I was little with some neighbors, and who knows why they sent us, her and my dad, but I just see that was God at an early age, like seeds were being planted. And then I want to say when I was like 13 or 14, so a year or so, before I met your mom, that's when my mom actually became a Christian. And then we've predominantly gone to non-denominational churches, which, I mean, I like Baptist, but some of the Baptist churches I've been with, just how long the services can be at times. Um, yeah, I've kind of stuck with more non-denominational because, like, my church is like an hour and a half, and we do everything. So we have worship, we have everything. Nothing is lacking.
We're an hour and a half too.
Okay.
There are some churches that go way, way long, but we're not one of those churches. So.
Okay, that's good to know. Cause yeah, the ones that I've been to, there was a little bit of trauma with how long.
I'm hungry. I'm ready to go.
Facts. I'm like, bruh, I will never forget it. And I won't say the name because I ain't, I just remember it was Christmas year of 1990, I think 5. Yes, I remember because
I was from Gold Girls picture.
Yes, facts. And I don't think I ate before we went to church, and that's on me. Or maybe I did. I don't know. But all I know is I was hungry. This pastor's going on and on and on and on. But I remember he had the audacity to say, "And I know you hungry. So you know my struggle, sir, but you need to feed on the Lord." Right. This is where he lost me.
Feed on this peppermint that I got right here.
You know what I'm saying?
So Usher get me.
Yeah, so but either way though, yes, I have noticed just like I said, an authenticity to you, just being true to you, which is important because we don't have to be boring. We don't have to be just, oh, Father God, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's how Catholic Church was to me.
Oh my gosh, because that is my conversations with God. Sometimes be like, bruh, like what are you doing? What is happening right now?
Not you not giving me what I asked you.
You know what I'm saying? Why are you like this? Like,
for real, like
dragging it out?
Like you're in a relationship. I'm just wondering why this is happening. No,
yeah,
definitely. I think the more authentic you get with God, the better of a relationship that you form with him. Like my prayers don't have to sound like other people's prayers. One of my biggest pet peeves about church culture, some of the bad things about church culture is people who like police how people praise. Like, I never see you shout, or if you are over here worrying about what you do, my interaction with the Lord is different than yours. Like you can't tell me when, it just makes me wonder if some people are being performative. And I'm not seeking to be performative. Like I really want to have an experience, like an encounter with the Lord every time I go into worship. That's very personal. It looks different. Some people clap, some people raise their hands, some people cry, some people scream, some people run, some people shout, some people dance. Like, but who said that you have to do a certain thing in order for, like, I don't like that policing of people's worship. Let people worship however they're authentically comfortable doing that. And I don't need you policing it or watching it or, recording me and putting me on your Instagram or something like that, so.
There are times where I don't even sing because I'm just on stuck. You know what I'm saying? And all I
Mhm.
could do is just sit there and hear the words to the song, and
Mhm.
I don't even sing. And like, so there's all different ways that it could happen. And
Mhm.
yeah, I like that. I like that. So before we're coming to a close, y'all. Now,
Sorry, this is a long one. You can't invite attorneys on, and
no, no, but here's the
we're long
thing.
with it.
Here's what's funny. I'm trying to think about longest episodes because I did a tweet about this. Longest episode with just one other person because it's different when you add
Yeah.
2, 3 people. I want to say close to 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and because my show is like, yeah, there's a topic, but I just let it be because
Mhm.
whatever is said obviously needs to be said, and I don't really trip off that as long as the guest doesn't care because I mean, this is my life, so like this time is carved out, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But yeah, no, you're good. This is actually not long at all,
Okay.
you know what
All
I'm
right.
saying? So black people,
Mhm.
there are always moments. I have them either watching other black people, especially the
Mhm.
stuff TikTok and Twitter, I feel like are where I really get those I love us, you know what I'm
I do
saying?
love people.
You know what I'm saying? The fact that a friend of mine yesterday was their 20-year wedding anniversary and their kids posted pictures of them for them from their wedding day. The fact that not only have they not aged in the last 20 years, but neither have either of their parents, because I've met all their parents in real life. And I'm like, the fact that none of these people barely aged in the last 20 years, I love being black for that. I love the fact that I don't look old enough, according to people, to have a 22, 20, and 18-year-old, and that's okay.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I love that.
Mhm.
The culture, the creativity, the way we some of it is because we've had to find ways to laugh in the struggle. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But the way we don't take there's things we probably should be taking seriously that should not
And
be.
we probably do, but some of that is like you got to laugh to keep from crying
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I love us because like the memes hit so fast and furious on Black Twitter and like on the Black Instagram pages and stuff. I'm just
Hmm.
like, whose full time job is it to grab this stuff so quick? I love us. I love it.
What are some of your favorite, or yeah, just times you've been like, I love being black, or I love us, or however you word it, because it's always different.
Yeah. Um, like every day, I think I have a moment like that. I tell people all the time, if I don't have this Christianity thing right and reincarnation is a thing, I hope and pray that I come back as a black woman because it's lit. Like, I
Mm.
mean, it has its challenges, but I wouldn't want to be anything else. I can't even imagine being anything else. Even the challenges are like the amazing pieces that make up the tapestry of just beauty of black women in particular. And I am a fan of black women. Like I am just I'm in awe of older black women. I love to be up under them, soak up their knowledge, their wisdom. I love the
Mhm.
way they talk, cook, everything. Like I've been fortunate to have a lot of amazing black women who have poured into me and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. Even outside of like my own mother and her 10 sisters, like other women within the community even. So um things I love about black folks are insistence on seasoning. Like, okay, we will be quick to be like looking at some food and being like, I don't even see no seasoning on that. Like it just looks black. Like I
Facts.
just love how we bring a flair to everything.
Mm.
Like our food, how we cook it, how we dress, our hair, like everything we do is gonna have flair to it. Like
Mhm.
the other day I was talking to one of my friends and we were looking at pictures and I was like, Black folks love some white parties. Like we will have all white party for everything.
Yep.
Summer we have an all white party. Family reunion, everybody got to wear all white one day. Like we will grab onto some all white party. I mean, I just love everything. I love the way Black people laugh. Like it's like a whole exercise laughing, like
Mm-hmm.
we rocking, we running around,
Yep.
hitting each other, like it's the best thing. Like you can't help but laugh when you see other Black people laughing. And you might not even know what's so funny, but they just over there dying, like, and it's the best thing ever. And it's contagious. Like there's people I cannot sit by in the choir stand because we will cut up so bad. And then I'll be like, see, I can't fool with y'all today, just laughing about things. I love our resilience. Like I think that is the reason why so many people are so threatened by melanated people, is that we bounce back from everything. We take like the worst of the worst situations. And, a lot of that is the favor of God, of course. And a lot of that is like our resilience. And I feel like that's in our DNA. Like that stuff runs through us. We are the people, like, you rarely ever hear about Black folks jumping off of a building or something because the stock market crashed. Like, we know how to make a struggle meal. Like, we know how to do all these things. Like, we are just good. Like, I tell people all the time, growing up, I really didn't know we were as broke as we were. We always had a lot of food, a lot of family around us. I always had clothes. They might not have been new from the store all the time, but they were new to me.
Yeah.
My youngest sisters were teenagers and I was happy to get their clothes, So I just didn't really see us as poor or broke or anything like that.
Right.
So those are some of the things that I love about us. I love our church experiences. Like I love worshiping in a Black church. It just gives me energy. I love hearing people tell their testimonies and stuff like that. I love old Black people wisdom and like the sayings that we have and the things that we pass on, and just some of that stuff where, that your grandma used to say, and you find yourself starting to say now as you get older. I love our kids. Have you ever noticed how Black babies always have rhythm? Like you play some music and the Black baby will always right on beat. I'm like, how do we have, like, we just have drumming in our souls. So I love all of that. And I love, as an extension of that, I love seeing, like, I've been to a Nigerian wedding. Definitely one of the most beautiful experiences, like the headdresses and the beautiful fabrics. And I just love our flair. I love that we add to everything. I love that, like, there's no sport that we will not dominate. Like we will figure it out. They will put us on a hockey team or, like whatever. Somehow we will figure that out. I love that about us. I love the shades of our skin, how we can be, so many different shades and still be Black. I could talk all day because I just absolutely love us. Everything about us.
Yes, those were all unique things. That's why I love asking people this, because it's always different, you know what I'm saying? And it's resilience usually is a consistent theme because we've had to be, but it's kind of like the laughing piece, man.
You rocking right now. You
right. Because it's like it comes from the depths of our soul, and like laughing is one of my favorite things to do. That's why I'm the way that I am, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I also have depth and all that stuff and think deeply, but laughing, oh y'all, okay, so she's a lawyer, right? And so I remember I posted, they were doing a bunch of like sign this
I remember that.
I can't remember what I signed. I
They
don't
were
remember.
petitions.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would come out of Walmart and it'd be like, these people, can you sign this petition? Now I will not just sign anything, y'all, but he was handsome though. But so
you done signed that right for you done signed us.
No, and so I asked him questions because I'm like, how is this helpful? And just ask, because it was about raising the minimum wage and Are they going to try to do this on the back end? Stuff like that. So we actually had a for real conversation. But when I went to Facebook, because listen, like Facebook, especially now, can be so like y'all need to
Right.
laugh. It's social media. Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't be all that. So I try to bring encouragement, laughter. Those are usually the two things. And so I went on there and I was like, I don't know what I just signed with this handsome man with the petition, but he looked good while I signed it. Ha ha ha, whatever. Here comes Shawntal. I hope it wasn't the one with the voter registration
I know.
information.
Honestly, I have those things that I get kind of intense about. And I had just had this horrible encounter in Exarban Village where I had it was either 3 or 4 different Black people approach me to sign a petition to require an ID to vote. And being a race and law instructor, like I immediately, so just as quickly as I can pop out of being, then I'm like, I go into fight the power mode, like, no,
Mhm.
like, and they got y'all out here doing the devil's work for them, like, and I'm trying to talk to these like we were getting into it. The first 3 people I was okay with. By the last dude, I said, you know what? Like, this is intentional. You are
Mhm.
walking up to me because you're Black, and you think because you just walked up to me and I'm Black, I'm gonna be like, oh, cool, I'll sign it. I'm not gonna ask you no questions. But you walked up to the wrong one. I
Mhm.
got time today. Like I
Mm.
was on my way to a lunch and I was like, text her, I'll be in 5 minutes. I'm out here having an argument with a petitioner. Like, because what you're not gonna do is walk up on me. I'm gonna make you think about it. So
Mhm.
yeah. So then I was like, after I saw you, I debated. I was like, should I say something? But I need to let people know, like, they cannot be walking around here just signing anything.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta ask. That's hilarious. So yeah.
And I'm
Sorry.
glad you did, because I've seen as we've gotten older, even if it's just on social media, where we interact more. You know what I'm saying? So I
Uh-huh.
was actually glad that you did, because it was funny because I forgot that I have a lawyer that I know that you know, and so
I'm
then
like,
I was
wait a minute.
right, and then I'm like, dang, is that illegal to do that? Okay, let me tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? But it's just funny because I laughed so hard when I read your comment, because I'm like, she's right. This actually sounds real dumb of me to be, you know what I'm saying? But it was funnier for me to just let people think whatever, you know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? Until I was like, but if that's illegal and people are watching, like, let me make sure people know I didn't actually
I
really
had
do
you
that.
scared you was going to
You
jail.
know what I'm saying? And yeah, so nah, but
Hilarious.
yeah, so I guess we'll go here. What is one piece of advice to all my listeners, just in general, that you would want to share, just to encourage them or just whatever? And it could be related to anything that you're just like, this is what I want.
Yeah. I guess the piece of advice that I'll leave is a piece of advice that I've been giving myself lately that I'm really trying to work hard on, which is like just living this life to the fullest,
Hmm.
and not like waiting on things. So like the pandemic, I noticed that it just kind of had me in this perpetual state of dread. Okay, like
Hmm.
what's gonna happen today,
Hmm.
or what are they gonna say next? And we can't control any of those things. And so I'm really trying to release more of the things that I can't control
Hmm.
and develop my trust in God because He hasn't failed me thus far. I've
Hmm.
really been getting all these scriptural messages lately and devotional messages about like looking at my past and reflecting on all the things that God kept me through, and
Hmm.
remembering that when I start to worry or doubt or um, any of that. And you can be paralyzed with the fear of what's going to happen next, and it can cause you not to live life to the fullest, not to take chance, not
Hmm.
to step outside of comfort zones, to be afraid to kind of walk into the room like I've described on so many examples since we've been talking, and be the only person of color or the only
Hmm.
woman or the only whatever in that room. And so I would just encourage you to like live. It's highlighted for me the last couple of years, both how long and how short life is. Like people
Mm.
are, life is too short to do this. Life is also too long to be sitting out here afraid and
Mm.
like stuck in a zone or worried or not
Mhm.
really living your life to the fullest. So take steps toward those goals and dream big. I'm a big vision board advocate. I do a
Mm.
vision board every year. And so, write out your vision and then go live that out and don't be scared. Like, even if you don't get all the way to whatever that goal is, you've taken that many more steps toward it.
Mhm.
Pick it up again next year and keep going, that kind of thing. But that's just what I've been really thinking on for myself is like intentional living. Like, how am I going to
Mm.
live my life to the fullest? And I really am committed to doing that because we don't know what's going to happen next,
Mhm.
and we don't know how that's going to affect the world around us, but we have control over how it affects us
Mhm.
personally, individually. I'm also a big advocate for both Jesus and therapy. Um,
Woo!
so I like to put
Girl.
that out there because a lot of times people think that as believers, we have to put, our soul uh soul, SOLE, not SOUL, our soul belief in what the Lord can do for us. And
Mhm.
part of what the Lord has done for us is create mental health practitioners who can
Mm.
help us talk through things and who don't have a dog in the fight, who can help you process through things. A lot of us
Mhm.
walk around with a lot of generational and relationship trauma, and we never unpack any of that, and we never learn better coping mechanisms and
Mm.
behaviors, and we keep doing the same thing over and over again. And we wonder why we're doing that because we've never had a chance to really be alone with our thoughts, talk with somebody about those things, slow down long enough to really take care of ourselves. I think we operate much better when we have both a good prayer life and also good mental health practices. So
Mm.
I know that's more than one thing, but those are the things I'm working on for myself. And like you said, I like to be authentic about my struggles and
Mm.
transparent about the things about me that are not where I want them to be. And so I just wanted to share that I'm working on. I know people are like, she's an attorney, she's this, she's that. Have struggles just like everybody else. I have
Mhm.
things that I go through just like everybody else, and I have things that I'm working on. So
I
keep
love
me in
that you
mind.
said that though, because I part of why I this show is I predominantly talk about my life and the ways that I'm trying to grow because so many people oftentimes think they're the only one. That's one of the biggest lies is you're the only one this, you're the only one that. And that's not true. While the
Mhm.
external circumstances may be different, the underlying emotions and thoughts and feelings, we all feel rejection, even if it's because of a different reason or neglect or insecurity or whatever. But one of the biggest for me pet peeves when it comes to church culture is that whole you just got to let go and let God in a toxic way. Like I have these feelings and I have these emotions and I have these things that I've been through like you said that we have to unpack and learn new coping skills, new just ways to live. It's almost sometimes harder once you get that breakthrough to live a new life because you have to learn a new way to do things and you've never done it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Otherwise, you'll fall back into old habits and patterns. And I'm a firm believer that yes, if you need to go to therapy, then go. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
I get frustrated when people forget that we are physical beings, we are spiritual beings, we have our mental health and our emotional health. And
Mhm.
so all of those things have different types of tools that we have to use to address it. You know what I'm saying? And so I love that you said that. And I love that I'm seeing a lot more churches kind of understand that, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I'm seeing a lot more, I'll say, believers that have large platforms. So I'm not saying they're more important than anybody. They just have more
Right.
followers on social media. But I'm
Absolutely.
seeing even them speak that because it's true. You know what I'm saying? And so that is, I feel like, the best way for us to go ahead and end the show, because that's usually how I end it anyway. So
Okay.
that was so perfect. Man, thank you so much for this. This has been my favorite episode simply because it's so encouraging. Like, it's so just to
You
me.
say that to all your guests.
No, I don't, because I'm very intent, and maybe it is my favorite in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't say that to
I'm
every
just teasing.
guest.
Yeah,
But I'm also very intentional about who I have on here. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like,
You
I
should.
don't just have anybody and everybody on here, and honestly, it's my show, so I pick who I want. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, because I'm not doing this. This is my therapeutic outlet, but it's also the legacy that I'm leaving behind, so that when I'm gone, my kids are going to have however many years of content that they can see and whatever.
Beautiful.
And even if my kids, although Kayleana's talked to you,
Mhm,
even if my kids don't know you, they know who Miss Trish is to me. You
mhm.
know what I'm saying? And so it needs to fit in with whatever's going on with my life. And so this has been such an encouraging episode. I hope y'all, as the listeners, feel the same way, because, like she said, yes, she is a lawyer. She's doing so many dope things out here, you know, but she's always authentically her. We all have struggles. You can't look at somebody's life on social media and think that because they're sharing their successes
Mhm.
that they're not having struggles. I don't care if they don't share their struggles. We all have
Oh,
them.
you're
So I don't,
having.
you
Mhm.
know, so I don't have to know what they are to know that we have them, and that to each of us, even if our struggles are different, I won't say greater or less than, because to me, a paper cut could be the end of the world and somebody else might have broke their arm. But for me, I'm bleeding and it hurts, and it could be
Mhm.
the end of the world for me. And so
Right.
we can't compare struggles, just like we shouldn't compare successes either. So y'all
And
make sure
it's not
you,
the struggle Olympics, like, no
right.
a gold medal for having the most struggle. I'm just saying I have them, and I know that the appearance, because you're seeing somebody's highlight reel on social media, right? You're
Mhm.
seeing what they want to share.
Mhm.
You're not seeing those struggles, and so the appearance of it is like, well, she has it all figured out. Even being on here to like, I'm learning from you as you're talking, and I greatly admire you for stepping out there and doing this, and like following what you want to do, what you feel called to do, and being aligned to something.
Mhm.
That's an amazing, beautiful thing to see another Black woman operate in her gift.
Mhm.
So, I know the challenge is for people to look past like degrees and titles and all the things that I shared or that you shared about me. But I am just like everybody else, and I have, my share of struggles as well. And if people are not telling you that, then they're not being authentic. So
Mm.
thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. I appreciate everything that you are to my mom, and that my mom is to you, and that she has that relationship with you. And I thank you for the invitation, and just wanting to get inside my mind a little bit. And it's also helped me to think about some things as we talk. So, and then it helped me to be able to profess my love for Black people. So this is a good place for me.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you come back next week so we can have another episode, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for Tim.